how to avoid competition when Asia maxing. So if you're curious about Asia maxing, you've probably been like researching countries in Asia. Maybe you've been researching the Philippines or China or like Japan, countries like that. But a very big thing you need to be researching is like the tourists, how many tourists go into the country. For example, if you look up how many tourists go to Japan versus how many tourists go to Taiwan, there will be such a big difference. I bet you there's 10 times more tourism in Japan than there is in Taiwan, and therefore you're going to have like a lot more competition. Like when you're a foreigner in Asia, there's something called the wow factor, basically like how rare you are. For example, if you go to like China, it's quite rare that white foreigners visit China. They don't see that many white tourists. So when you're walking around in China, girls will literally like stare at you, and you will see that. Even in the Philippines, like I was constantly being stared at and everything. I remember like I'll walk past like a group of girls, and as soon as I walk past them and I look behind me, they're looking back at me, like they turn around, they stare at me. There's times where there's like a group of 50 people and they're all staring at me, making eye contact. There's times where there's like this girl and she was on a motorbike and she was turning around a corner and she was literally like staring at me as I was walking on the street, and she nearly like crashed her bike because she was staring at me. So that's called like having a high wow factor, and that's due to like having basically low tourism. So when you're curious about the country you want to Asia Max to, you want to pick a country where it has preferably low tourism rates. I would say the high tourist countries would be like Japan and like South Korea. Those would be probably the highest tourism. Thailand as well. That's a big one. Bangkok is like the most visited country in the world. Literally, it's like Bangkok is the most visited city in the entire world. So if you're a white guy in Bangkok, it would still work really well. But the thing is, there's less of a wow factor. Like you're less likely for girls to stare at you, and they're going to be less curious about you compared to like other countries. So if you want to reduce competition, or you want to minimize every possibility of having competition in these Asian countries, look at the tourism rates. How many tourists per year enter that country? And that's why I prefer like Taiwan over, let's say, South Korea, because Taiwan will have way less white tourists and there's going to be less competition. And then the other thing you can do is avoid going to the capital cities, because with these like tourists, these white tourists, they always go to the capital cities. So let's say you choose a country that you want to go to. Let's give the example Taiwan. The capital city of Taiwan is Taipei, and like 90% of all the tourists are going to go to Taipei. So you want to avoid the capital city if you want to minimize competition. But you don't want to go to like a small city. You still want to go to a big city, because the bigger the city, the more options you've got. But you also want to minimize competition, you want to minimize tourists. Always avoid the capital city. And so you want to go on ChatGPT and look up what are the highest population density cities in the country. And you want to pick, the second largest or the third largest. The second largest is usually safe. It's like got 10 times less tourism compared to the capitals. So like the second largest, third largest, fourth largest, these are the best. But you still want to go to the largest cities, just not the capital. You want to minimize the tourism. So those are like the two main tips I have for like minimizing competition when Asia Maxing. If you're curious about becoming an Asia Maxer, check the description. I've got a link under there, and it's like a private community. I've got courses on how to make money online, so you've got an online income, so you can actually live there. I've got 13 years of video editing experience, and that's how I moved to the Philippines the first time, was doing video editing. I've also got like community posts where you can have direct access to me. Like you can ask me any questions about Asia Maxing and stuff like that, and I reply to all of them. If you also want to make like friends with other Asia Maxers, I've got this American guy in the community, and he's literally like Asia maxing in Vietnam right now and everything. So you can always like message him and ask him like, oh, how's Vietnam? How's Asia maxing? You know, you can join here and basically make friends. So if you're interested about joining, just check the description, first link in the description, check if you want to join.